Hey class, this is Catherine Pullis, and I'm going to do my phonemic awareness activity on rhyme. I chose to do it on this book by Dr. Seuss, and it's actually the first children's book he published. It's called And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. As y'all know, Dr. Seuss has a lot of books that rhyme, and some of the words don't even make sense, but this helps kids break words into syllables, so it prepares them and creates good readers. So what I'm going to do when I do this activity, I would, introduce the book. I would tell them a little background information about Dr. Seuss, and then I would hope, if we haven't covered rhyming by now, I might do a quick little mini lesson on rhyming and ask if anybody can tell me what rhymes with what they would choose to rhyme with. So if a child picked cat, then I'd ask them to rhyme, what else could rhyme with cat? Okay, the materials that I would need, honestly, just the book. I could, for struggling readers, perhaps have a big book, or even, if available, blow up a book on a smart board so the letters were bigger and I could point at them and they would see them more clearly. For advanced readers, let's see, perhaps I could have more challenging text. I could maybe break them up in groups of different books with rhyming. Maybe I would choose a more difficult book for them than this book. For English language learners, I would really want to make things visual. So I could pre-teach, perhaps having the books already in my classroom. Maybe they have already went through it and saw the pictures. Even blowing it up, they've seen the pictures, they can connect it to the text. Okay, so, and how I would close my lesson. I've noticed a lot of schools have a Dr. Seuss week, so maybe I would do this on a Friday to prepare them for Dr. Seuss week. And then afterwards, I saw something online where there was like a chart on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I could at this time show them the chart, what we were going to do for the next week, what book we were going to read on which day, and what they could wear on that day. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read my book. So, And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street by Dr. Seuss. When I leave home to walk to school, Dad always says to me, "Marco, keep your eyelids up and see what you can see." But when I tell him where I've been and what I think I've seen, he looks at me and sternly says, "Your eyesight's much too keen. Stop telling such outlandish tales. Stop turning minnows into whales." Now what can I say when I get home today? All the long way to school and all the way back, I've looked and I've kept careful track. But all that I've noticed, except my own feet, was a horse and a wagon on Mulberry Street. That's nothing to tell of. That won't do, of course. Just a broken down wagon that's drawn by a horse? That can't be my story. That's only a start. I'll say that a zebra was pulling that cart. And that is a story that no one can beat when I say that I saw it on Mulberry Street. At this point, I'd ask the class, what is Marco doing here? And see if anybody would tell me if he was exaggerating or, fibbing or creating a story. Yes, the zebra is fine, but I think it's a shame. Such a marvelous beast with a cart that's so tame. The story would really be better to hear if the driver I saw were a charioteer. A gold or a blue chariot, something to meet, rumbling like thunder down Mulberry Street. No, it won't do at all. A zebra's too small. A reindeer is better, and he's fast and he's fleet, and he'd look mighty smart on old Mulberry Street. So now we have a zebra turning into a reindeer. Hold on a minute. There's something wrong. A reindeer hates the way it feels to pull a thing that runs on wheels. He'd be much happier instead if he could pull a fancy sled. A reindeer and sleigh? Say anyone could think of that. Jack or Fred or Joe or Nat. Say even Jane could think of that. But it isn't too late to make one little change. A sleigh and an elephant. There's something strange. I'll pick one with plenty of power and size. A blue one with plenty of fun in his eyes. And then, just to give him a little more tone, have a Rajah with rubies perched high on a throne. Say, that makes a story that no one can beat when I say that I saw it on Mulberry Street. But now I don't know, it still doesn't seem right. An elephant's pulling a thing that's so light would whip it around in the air like a kite. But he'd look simply grand with a big brass band. A band that's so good should have someone to hear it, but it's going so fast that it's hard to keep near it. I'll put on a trailer. I know they won't mind if a man sits and listens while hitched on behind. But now, is it fair? Is it fair what I've done? I'll bet those wagons weigh more than a ton. That's really too heavy a load for one beast. I'll give him some helpers. He needs two at least. But now what worries me is this. Mulberry Street runs into bliss. Unless there's something I can fix up, there'll be an awful traffic mix-up. It takes police to do the trick, to guide them through where traffic's thick. It takes police to do the trick. I'll never crash now, the race at top speed, with Sergeant Mulvaney himself in the lead. The mayor is there, and he thinks it is grand, and he raises his hat as they dash by the stand. The mayor is there, and the alderman too, all waving big banners of red, white, and blue. And that is a story that no one can beat when I say that I saw it on Mulberry Street. With a roar of its motor, and an airplane appears and dumps out confetti while everyone cheers. And that makes a story that's really not bad, but it still could be better. Suppose that I add? What could he possibly add? A Chinese boy who eats with sticks, a big magician doing tricks, a 10-foot beard that needs a comb. No time for more, I'm almost home. Y'all notice all these words rhyming? Sticks and tricks, comb and home. I swung round the corner and dashed through the gate. I ran up the steps and I simply felt great. For I had a story that no one could beat, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. But Dad sat quite calmly. Just draw up your stool and tell me the sights on the way home from school. There was so much to tell, I just couldn't begin. Dad looked at me sharply and pulled out his chin. He frowned at me sternly. From there in his seat, was there nothing to look at? No people to greet? Did nothing excite you or make your heart beat? Nothing, I said, growing red as a beet, but a plain horse and wagon on Mulberry Street. Why do you think that big story turned back into a plain horse and wagon on Mulberry Street? That would be one of my questions. I also would ask them if they noticed what words rhymed, and then I would follow this into having their hands raised, picking on them to say a word, and maybe what would rhyme with that word. And also, this would be my ending where I would close and tell them about Dr. Seuss Week next week. I hope y'all enjoyed and that I covered everything. Thank you.